We are moving into a season where one of the most important things that we can collectively be focused on is post-secondary enrollment of the students that we collectively serve. And we want to do two things like I mentioned with you today. We want to, one, have the opportunity for some students who have gone through the enrollment process or are working in the enrollment process to share their experience with this group of people, because what they're going to talk about, the good, the bad, and the ugly, sits at the intersection of all the work that we do. And then we'll dig into some pieces of information and data that will help us process the way that we can work better together in order to make that happen. So if we could just start over there and go this way.
So my name is Julia Garrido. I am Dallas ISD alum. I graduated in 2009. I went for undergrad at UNT, and I am currently studying at the University of Philadelphia.
Great, thank you.
My name is Nathan Flores. I graduated from Newman Smith High School in CFB ISD, Carrollton Farmers Branch, and I'm studying psychology at UT Arlington right now. I graduated last year, by the way.
Hello, my name is Karina Lopez, and I graduated Justin F. Kimball in 2023, and I am currently a undergrad at UNT Dallas for general business.
Awesome, thank you so much. As y'all were graduating high school and going into college, who was the person or people that helped you most during the enrollment process, and what was like the specific thing that they did that helped you get enrolled?
So for me, I forgot to mention, I graduated from North Dallas High School, and so that's where EIF was one of the schools, and so the advisor there, Ms. Julieta, was the one that actually helped me throughout that process, and it made it a little bit easier. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but it definitely helped me get from graduating high school to the university. But as a first gen, there was a lot of things that I didn't know, and also translating that information to my mom while also learning the information was one of the hardest things that I had to do as a student. And that's still happening today as well, unfortunately. But if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have, made it to UNT.
So the person that had helped me the most was definitely my advisor, my high school advisor, Miss Jane. She was sectioned for all of the college stuff, all the FAFSA and everything. And she really helped me in getting everything done because she was always available. Like there was never a moment where she wasn't available to talk about college stuff. And she was always open to any type of question about anything. I know I was really worried about the financial situation of it, and I kept on going to her and asking her, and she kept on reassuring me and making sure it was all good. So she kind of just was there to push me throughout the whole time to get the application submitted and everything through.
The person that helped me the most was Melania Lopez. I honestly owe it all to her. She was actually the person that urged me to pursue going to college. I never actually planned to go to college, and she was such a great inspiration to me. Honestly, I don't think I would be where I am today if it weren't for her. We're still really close, and she not only helped me with the process, but she helped me with like everything. She helped me get my driver's license. She helped me with like things that a mom would help you with, and she's like who I owe it all to. She's the reason why I went to school for the third year. And yeah.
When you say the third, because when we were talking, could you maybe talk a little bit about the interaction that you had that sort of shifted your mind and how that has grown over time from just being not going to college to where you are now?
Yes, she told me the importance of being educated and going to college. She took my best interests into consideration. And not only did she inspire me to, she always spoke about how I could accomplish more than I thought myself. Like, she honestly believed in me before I even believed in myself, and that was such like a big pressure, I would say, because I felt not only did I have to make my family proud, but I had to make her proud.
That's awesome. I think one of the things that just kind of hearing and all of that is, and there's a lot of, we can take personal stories, there's also a lot of research to suggest this, that having a consistent, over time, caring adult is one of the biggest things that can determine a student's long-term trajectory. And whether it was EIF, whether it was a district advisor, every single person up here had a caring adult that was both, it sounds like they were really in this moment of being able to both understand where you were at as a person and also push you a little bit in ways that was just tailored to what you needed or what you wanted at that particular time. So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so this is where we get into, like, we got some caring people. We know that we can do this together. What was the most confusing or frustrating part of trying to get enrolled at college?
So one thing was navigating the university portals. I think, they made it harder even now to like create a password that has 12 characters, but then if it doesn't have one, then, or if the student inputted the social incorrectly or someone switched the name from first name to last name, just being able to access, your portal at that university can make it very frustrating. And then having to call IT and waiting. And so I want to say that that's technically one of the most frustrating processes of enrollment, aside from also now you're in, right, after all of that, and then finding out that you're selected for verification. Have no idea what that is, right? And then how long it can take once you submit the paperwork. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for them to actually process and that you can get, the financial aid that you need. And so for me, that was something that actually happened, and I had to navigate it all by myself.
I'd say just about the same for me, except it was also pretty hard to get the news out. Like, I got the news pretty late for some application fees, and there was also some struggle with the application fees as well, and the process of navigating the portals. There was definitely a lot of frustration when it came to all the paperwork and the deadlines, because there was a lot of communication to when it was supposed to be due and not when I was going to get my results back from whenever I understood the paperwork was done on my end.
So on that one, it was like, oh, you're sending me all these, I have all these deadlines to meet, but I don't actually know what your deadlines are for me.
Right, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, cool. Yep.
For myself, because I had a tremendous amount of help, I personally didn't struggle as much other than with Greenlight and having them receive my transcripts. I had to send it 4 times and email them for them to actually find it. But I will say, because I chose to go to college very late during the registration process, having to cram it all at once was difficult. If I didn't have the help that I had, I definitely would have not gone because I hadn't taken my TSI. There's just a lot of steps that require time and effort, and I think you have to be really determined because the portal, like they said, is really hard to navigate.
That's awesome. And if you had to maybe make recommendations, or if you were like, oh gosh, in that whole process, if one or two things could have been different, either from the support that you were receiving from your district or your high school, or the interactions that you were having with multiple institutions that you were thinking about going to or did go to. What's like one thing that you would say, oh, this could be better. I would have changed this or made it better.
I think it could be the fact that sometimes I'll have like the hold, or, it says the deadline is, whatever date. But it doesn't have like a contact number. It doesn't have a contact person. And so that can be very frustrating, because even as someone that has worked as an advisor on the other side, it's also very frustrating because you're also trying to navigate it with the student, And so it's very frustrating at the same time, because it's not making it any easier. And so sometimes, the portals for each school, they're all different, but at the same time, they're all complicated. It's very hard to find also on the website the information for your contact admissions counselor. It's not as easy. And so that also creates that frustration on both ends. So I would say, making it more accessible a little bit, and maybe making it more teenage friendly. I think the system has been the same for a very long time. And, if it could change to where students, parents, and even like counselors can navigate it a little bit more easier, I think it would make a huge difference.
Love it. Thank you.
I would just say there's a lot of buttons. It's just a lot of a whole bunch of unnecessary things that just causes extra background noise. Whenever you're looking for a certain item, a lot can get confusing. And so I guess to clean it up more simpler, make it more simpler look to it.
Okay.
I would say the success coaches, I think sometimes they don't prepare the way they should when it comes to delivering the right information. There can be a lot of miscommunication going on, and sometimes it feels like they don't have your best interest, even though I know there's like a lot of like students that they see, and I feel like the experience you have with your success coach can make or break your college experience, and I feel like we should take a little bit more into consideration when it comes to success coaches.
Yeah, I shared this, and this is the thing that I think a lot about in all of this, and I think I shared this with this group of people as we were talking about this panel. It's something that I reflect on a lot, is like we work with students who have gone through a K through 12 system. Most of them are 18 years old. They've been going to a building every single day for the past 13 years. There's someone who's always available for them to talk to. There's someone who will go help them get their driver's license. And then there's almost this sort of like stark next step of like, now I don't want to say you're completely on your own, but just the navigating all the systems can be really hard. And it's like, how do we collectively make really smooth, simple handoffs from high school to an institution of higher ed that feels super personal to students? And that's really hard to do when, in Dallas County, right now, the Dallas County Promise, we have 27,000 seniors that we're working with. Like, that is not an easy feat, but I want to say, one, thank you so much for sharing the places in which you felt like things could get better, because that's what we are here for collectively to be able to do. So I got two more questions for you. Was there a single moment of support that just kept you on track, that you feel like might have otherwise been like, I'm done, I'm off track, I'm not going to do this anymore? A single interaction with a person or a step that you took that kind of kept you moving in the direction that you wanted to?
So for me, it was, the goal was getting my education, right? Getting the degree. And there was no other way around it. And so when I was at the university, I had a lot of losses, but I still continued. And nobody really talks about that. And it was very hard. But, I got through it. And because I had that like goal, but also there was someone, I was an Eagle Scholar as well. And so the person that was in charge during that time, she would sit down and talk to me. And so I also saw her story, heard her story, saw where she had been, and that was ultimately the goal as well. And so that's what made me continue, getting my degree.
I'd say my my support beam would probably be like my advisor, Miss Jane. She was she was really there for me whenever there was a whole bunch of confusion with this college, and like for instance, I would apply, and then not have any idea why I'm not getting any responses, and then be like something simple like, oh, I just didn't click submit on one of the forums. And so she was there for me. And if she wasn't really there for me for the whole questions, for all the questions that I had, all the troubles that I had, then I really would not know where I'd be at, just because I wouldn't be in college. That's just something that's too much of a struggle for me to find out solely how to work it. So I would have probably ended up quitting, and then I would have ended up somewhere else. And I'm very grateful for Miss Jane, the fact that she was there for me, because she was there through it all instead of just half of it.
Like I mentioned before, Melania, because she was so proud of me, even from the start, before I even did anything. That was such a big, I would say, it was like a big help, because if I didn't have the support that I had with her, I wouldn't be where I am. I think that because she helped me so much with the enrollment, and she answered all my questions, she calmed my anxiety when it came to, can I even do this? Like, she had all the answers, and I feel like having someone like her really helped me pursue my degree. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, last question. What, and all the work that y'all have done and all the work that we do together, what keeps you motivated to either pursuing your degree or continuing the work that you do?
So for me is, once again, like getting the degree. So I was the very first person in my family to graduate from college. And, now that I'm again in school after so many years, it's also to continue helping, individuals like myself. So first-gen students, getting them from point A to point B, because it can be very hard. And so sometimes, we forget that it can be very complicated, and when students go to the school or go talk to somebody from different institutions and they don't get the answer or the help that they need, it sometimes discourages them. And so that's one of the reasons why, I continue to do the work that I do as well, to continue helping those students and those families, because it's not easy at all, as all of you may know, right? So that's what keeps me motivated.
What keeps me motivated is definitely the people that I've met through the DCP organization, I guess. Just because whenever I got introduced to UT Arlington and the schools, I was told by Ms. Jane, she told me to go introduce yourself, go make friends, go get into organizations, go out there and just go do things. And so I took that advice head on. I joined a fraternity that I'm grateful in. It's been an amazing time in there. Learned plenty of things. It's a very learning experience. I switched from majoring in finance to majoring in psychology, because that's really what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to be in finance. That's just something that was kind of a broader picture in corporate America. Realized that wasn't really for me, so I kind of switched to psychology. And that was all through this Dallas County Promise, this trust. Just because I was able to have this opportunity to go to this school, meet these people, I was able to make these decisions that brought me to where I am today.
What kept me motivated was definitely keeping my family and my EIF advisor proud. I think that also my fear of failure can also motivate you to such lengths. I feel like because Melania invested so much like help and effort into just helping me into college, I feel like I can't let her hard work go to bad waste.
That's awesome. Thank you all so much. So would love the opportunity if people could give thoughts or ask questions to our panel. But the one sort of reflection that I have is, I wake up every morning. I very often look at like dashboards of data and strategic plans and build PowerPoints like this, which is my job, and I really like doing those things. And I think regardless of whether it was a few years ago, recently, an interaction that changed your trajectory, or even what continues to motivate you, the thing that I heard from all three people was the power of human connection. Like there is no story, there was nothing that was shared in which one of these people did not say, I was able to do this by myself, or I would have continued to do it by myself. And that makes me both like very happy that you had a group of people and you continue to work, whether that was when you were in high school or you're in college. And it makes me think about how the experience that these people have and are having is the norm and not the exception. I don't actually have an answer for how that works. I think that's what this group of people gets to work together, and I'm very proud and thankful that you're here to talk about it. But that is my takeaway from this, is the power of human connection and relationship in a student trajectory. So I'd love to turn it over to y'all to either share reflections, observations, or ask this incredible group of people some questions about their experience. So the question really was that there was a lot of conversation around the support that this group of people received in high school as they transitioned to college. Was there anyone, when they got to the institution, that was offering supports or helping them think about a goal and the purpose of remaining and persisting in college?
So yes, but it wasn't the same as it is in high school. It was very brief. It was like those conversations that I had with the director of Eagle Scholars. She was Latina, she was first gen, she was a teen mom. And so I actually, during my freshman year, my roommate ended up getting pregnant and she didn't continue. And so, nobody sat with her. I want to say she was also an Eagle Scholar, but she didn't have someone guiding her or saying like, hey, yeah, it's going to be hard, but you're able to still do this. And for me, it was, just certain conversations, but it wasn't the same type of support that I got from Miss Julieta when I was in high school.
There was help, but it was very broad help. There was like little posters on the boards, but there wasn't really anybody standing outside being like, "Hey, you come see me if you need to find help." Or I wouldn't really see anybody like that, and there wasn't any kind of official announcement saying you can meet here if you need help with advising or financial aid or whatever.
I would say no, because I had so much help, I didn't actually seek any other help. But that being said, the times that was needed to go like see someone, they would briefly touch the subject.
So the question was, if you were, if you were talking to a younger person about going to college, what would you share as like your most proud experience or the reason that you would be going to college? Did I get that? Okay, cool.
And the next person that asks a question, just wait, and we'll bring you a microphone.
There we go, Sam.
So
Yeah.
I always tell students and families and the people I meet is it opens a lot of doors. And it's opened a lot of doors for me. And I've been to places that I never could imagine, right? Just because I do have that degree. And that's something that my family will never get to experience, not because they didn't want to, it's just that wasn't provided for them. And so that's what education does, right? It opens doors, it gets you to those places. It, sometimes places where you're probably the only person that looks like you. And that has happened to me, but I've been able to, be grateful for those moments, especially because I decided to go get a degree.
I would say the networking is also the biggest advantage from college, or one of the biggest advantages at least. For example, I got invited. I joined a frat, like I said earlier, and I had one of the brothers invited me to go to Houston and celebrate Thanksgiving with them. Me personally, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. That's not something that I usually do nowadays. However, I used to celebrate a lot. Just haven't got the time to more often, just because of work and scheduling. But I got to go celebrate Thanksgiving with his family on a last 30-minute notice because I knew him and we were open to the opportunity of networking. So we both got into the same frat and we have ideal mindsets, and so that's a friend for a lifetime now. You know what I'm saying? So definitely the networking is a huge part of the college experience that can't be missed out on.
I would say networking as well. I believe that from the friends that I've met through college, and even her right now, she gave me some wonderful advice that I actually really needed. And I feel like you only know so much, and you only learn what you need to learn through other people that have had experiences, or other people that they know tell them what they need to know. And I think that networking is really important, just because it's going to get you to the places that you want to be and need to be at.
I'm thinking about when you were in middle school or high school, to believe that you're the principal of those schools. What would you have seen? You talked a lot about what it looked like to have access through an advisor, through a counselor, through EIF, to get access to those opportunities and some of the challenges. What would have made it better for you, whether it's 7th or 8th grade, or as a freshman, to have access to have you make a better decision? So whether it be a student ambassador to get some feedback, or whether it be another program, if you were the principal of the middle or the high school, what would you do differently to give you better access and make a better decision as a freshman when you're starting off fresh?
So I think it could be the fact that, we live in DFW, right? And so there are a lot of universities around. And you can really invite, college students, different organizations, frats, sororities, to come into the schools and start talking about, the experience, what made them want to go to college early on. I don't think that's something that, usually happens. And a lot of times too, when people start talking about going to college, a lot of times it starts late junior year, beginning of senior year. And so that's why we have a lot of students thinking, oh, I don't want to go to college. I worked with a nonprofit where there were students, young men of color, who, many of them did not want to go to college, but because we started talking to them very early on, and it's not just talking, it's giving them the experience, like taking them to the university, community college, giving that exposure to, what it looks like, maybe having a PayPal, pen pal, a pen pal program, with college students. So when I was at UNT, I actually did that, but it was more with elementary students. And then we ended up visiting them twice throughout the school year. And the experience that they had when they visited the school was also phenomenal, and you can see them and saying like, hey, I want to go to college now. And I remember that program in particular, done by one teacher, right, had made a huge impact throughout the years for many students. And they always remember that. And they said, because Mr. So-and-so did this, I decided to go to college. Because a lot of times, being first gen means no one in the family has gone to college. So it's hard for, a parent or someone around to say like, hey, go to college and this is the kind of experience you're gonna have. But because they don't have that, it's hard to really like see. But when they actually experience it, it can make a huge impact.
All right, one more question. One more question. Sandra, yeah, if we got over here.
Hi, guys. Really quick, we have a lot of universities here, and a lot of support is there for you as a college student. But how do we get that information to you? I think we've all tried email, phone, flyers, tabling, smoke signals, and it's just not getting. So what is the best way for your support system to get a hold of you and you will actually read it?
Nathan or Katarina, if y'all want to take that. Yeah.
I would say text messages. A lot nowadays, kids are on their phones or teens are on their phones and just looking at stuff, or maybe more social media posts about it, just because there's a lot more activity within the social media feed, to where you can actually get it out there to somebody's For You page just by having the most interactions or likes or whatever. But yeah, I'd say text messages, maybe posts on social media.
I back that up.
TikTok and Instagram, yeah, most likely.
Yeah, I refuse.
Not TikTok then, not
refuse
TikTok.
to have a TikTok account. I don't know why. It's just pure.
It's by the state of Texas. We can't use it. Give us another
Okay, then
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah, I think Instagram, but I think also what you can do is go to the organizations within the school. A lot of them are in frats, sororities, giving that information to them and them passing it along. Because another thing that happens is, the university has a page for admissions, and then they have a page for financial aid, and then they have a page for, whatever other thing that is on for that school. And so sometimes, not having the same information all across can make, students miss that information as well. But I think, making sure that the president of that organization, that sorority, that frat also knows, because they're constantly also posting, and getting them to be kind of your influencers within the school, I think can also help reach more students.
I'd say another app would be LinkedIn. I see a lot of young men, especially since I'm around a brotherhood, trying to get onto LinkedIn more to get more networking opportunities out there. So I'd assume that's what a lot more people are doing since they're in college, to get more networking done. So more posts on LinkedIn would be another social media app.
If you could just give our incredible panelists a huge round of applause.